in higher education. Madam Speaker, 2 days ago, I rose on the floor of this House to call for the resignation of the president of Sonoma State University in California. This institution is one of a disturbing number that have chosen to deal with this highly disruptive trend of encampments on campuses, not by even-handedly enforcing universities' rules and enforcing the law, but rather by caving to the demands of this small minority of unlawful protesters. Caving to their demands, appeasing their desired changes in university policy in order to make university policy anti-Israel and anti-Semitic in nature. What happened at Sonoma State was particularly egregious. In response to the demands of the illegal encampment, the university president agreed to divest, agreed to an academic boycott, agreed to even scrub any mention of Israel from university materials. Perhaps worst of all, he agreed to convert the unlawful encampment into a permanent advisory council with the members of the encampment responsible for picking who is part of it, and they would then have the power to enforce these anti-Israel policies going forward. Well, we finally have a little bit of good news in that this call was heard by the chancellor of Cal State University, and that university president is now on administrative leave. Of course, that doesn't go far enough. He has no business leading a university in our state or in this country when you are willing to institutionalize the anti-Semitic demands of those who are disrupting the university by unlawful means. Unfortunately, Sonoma State University is not alone in California, as you can see right here from these headlines. There are a number of other universities within the California State University system, within the University of California system, and at other institutions, public and private, across our state and across the country, where suddenly administrators have decided to negotiate with these encampments and to reach agreements with them based on what they want. It is hard to overstate just how perverse this truly is. Let's leave aside for a moment the substance of what they're agreeing to and just consider the message that this sends, the precedent that it sets. That the way to get what you want on a university campus is not by presenting a reasoned argument, not by convincing the governing body and your fellow students and other stakeholders. Rather, it is to try to use force to get your way. At these unlawful encampments, we heard an example from a student at Harvard in a committee hearing the other day. They are refusing to leave. They are occupying public spaces. They are disrupting the function of the university. In this particular example, they had self-appointed campus monitors who would follow Jewish students on campus around and monitor their activities. We've seen examples of occupying buildings. We've seen students being stopped from entering the campus, entering the library, entering other public spaces. We've seen loud disruptions that stop academic activities from proceeding. In a number of cases, universities have responded in a way that is also unacceptable, which is by canceling classes, canceling graduation ceremonies, and thereby punishing all students. But what message did this send? That those who are engaging in these unlawful activities, many of them not students, by the way, with a lot of funding coming from the outside, we're going to give them what they want. We're going to reward those tactics. What exactly does that encourage in the future? Of course, what it does is encourages these tactics to be repeated. And the reason that these tactics are being resorted to is because those who are behind the encampments know that their argument is completely morally bankrupt and bigoted and would never prevail in a reasoned dialogue, which is why it's such a farce that some of these university leaders have patted themselves on the back and said, oh, dialogue is the answer. Negotiations are the answer. The problem is they are only giving voice to those who are creating the disruption. When these so-called negotiations are going on, it's only those who are responsible for the problem that are being listened to. We're not seeing any evidence that they're bringing in representatives from Jewish student groups, or for that matter, the broader law-abiding student community, student body, to come and have their voice heard. Rather, they're elevating this small, disruptive minority and privileging their despicable points of view. I want to submit, for the record, a letter that I have written to the leaders of our public education systems in California.
Without objection.
This is to President Drake, the president of the University of California, and Chancellor Garcia, who is the chancellor of California State University. I'll read a few excerpts here. We're sending them this letter today, and I'm hoping that it will put a stop to this incredibly disturbing trend. Over the past month, campuses in both the UC and CSU systems have been disrupted by illegal encampments. These encampments violate university rules, violate the law, and have given rise to other disruptive activities posing a threat to the safety, civil rights, and learning of students. Some UC and CSU campuses have responded by rewarding the perpetrators and incorporating their anti-Semitic demands into university policy. Specifically, a number have agreed to boycott, divest, and sanction programs, BDS, relating to Israel. Just this week, we saw Sonoma State's president agree to end all study abroad programs in Israel and divest from companies associated with Israel. President Lee even went so far as to promise to scrub university materials of references to Israel and to convert the illegal encampment into a permanent advisory council charged with enforcing the new anti-Israel policies. The letter then goes on to list several other examples within the UC and CSU systems, at UC Riverside, at UC Berkeley, at CSU Sacramento, at CSU San Francisco. And continues, irrespective of the merits of these policy changes, which, to be clear, are altogether unmeritorious, bigoted, and quite possibly illegal under California's anti-BDS law, allowing a small minority to get their way through force is no way to run a campus. It is not clear what efforts, if any, these campus leaders made to consult with Jewish student groups or the broader law-abiding student body before capitulating to the demands of encampment participants. There is an urgent need for system-wide action in both the UC and CSU systems to restore order on campus, stop the adoption of BDS policies, and where appropriate, appoint new campus leadership. I'm a member of the Education and Workforce Committee and chair of the Workforce Protection Subcommittee, and am actively involved in the House of Representatives' ongoing investigations of anti-Semitism in higher education. I tell these university system leaders that I would like a timely response as to what steps they are taking to avoid further damage to California's universities, which have long been a tremendous asset to our state and country. I will, of course, share with the public the response that I receive from these university officials, and moreover, this next week, we have the leader of one campus, UCLA, who will be appearing before our Committee on Education in the Workforce to be held to account for the horrifying events that unfolded on that campus, thanks to the university's failure to take action to protect